Hi everyone, I just want to do a little update regarding Scientology. The last week I've spent investigating a centre in Clearwater in Florida called Mace Kingsley. I've rang this centre twice because I had concerns regarding the protocols that they're offering to children and also to autistic children. I spoke to two different people there. One was Ken Ferrara. He was telling me that they work with autistic children and that they audit children from birth. Now, auditing is something that involves a child basically being interrogated by an adult, having to talk about, their intimate secrets, and it's very invasive and really just is a way to try to brainwash a child from a very young age. Scientology, as you know, was founded by Mr. Hubbard. He believes that children are basically trapped in adults' bodies and they are thousands of years old, so that it's all right to do adult things to children. Auditing, in my opinion, must be so frightening, not just for an adult. I actually read an article today about a man who had it done, and he said that it was so frightening, and he had a personality test done prior to that by Scientology, and they told him that he was basically a psychopath, that he had depression, he was, a complete mess. But what they want is really people to be robots. They don't want you to have feelings. They don't want you to be able to have compassion for others in society. So they kind of break you down. It's a bit like breaking a wild horse, so to speak. And they're doing this to adults who are vulnerable as well, and they're charging massive amounts of money. So the courses, the auditing that they offer you, you have to pay. And the higher you go up the ladder to become clear, the more money you pay. Now, this is for adults, it's really, really bad. And I know some people that were part of the Scientology cult that got away, and they've told me the horror stories, the experiences that they had, and the bullying that goes on in the Scientology cult if you speak out against them. So I really have huge respect for the people that do speak out against this cult. You know who you are, guys, and you're doing great work. Now, in Ireland, we have a small movement, I'm told, but it could grow because they've recently purchased a new building at Fir House in Dublin, a very large property, and it's meant to be the European hub, so I'm told. So we could see a centre like the one in Clearwater developing here, possibly. I've spoken to some Scientologists here in Ireland, Margaret McNair on the phone, who told me she wants to work with children. She's anti-psychiatry, which is what Scientology are as a whole. They don't believe in mental health issues. They think that they don't exist. They think if you have a mental health issue, it's because you have a physical illness or you've done something wrong in a previous life. And this is the same for autism. People with disabilities are viewed as degraded beings. And basically we're like seen as being, I don't know, not proper people in the community, and this is why they think auditing might help autistic people. So when I rang this centre, they told me that they're working with autistic children. After I spoke to Ken, I rang back and spoke to the executive director. Her name is Marcy Sargent, and she was absolutely horrendous, is the only word I can use. She said, first thing she said to me was, "Oh, how did your children get autism? Was it the vaccine?" So immediately we have a quack on the phone. I've always known that Scientology has been very linked to the anti-vaccine movement and very linked to quacks. She suggested on the phone that I should change my doctor if they didn't support, them doing these crazy protocols. Suggested a doctor I could talk to in Clearwater called Dr. Minkoff. I read about him, and he's linked to a death of a woman. He's also involved in crazy quack treatments like chelation, which killed an autistic child. He also offers IV of hydrogen peroxide, which killed a couple of people as well. IV of hydrogen peroxide is basically bleach, like the stuff you dye your hair with. Anyway, that was bad enough, but she went on to tell me that they are working with quite a few autistic children, up to 40 a year, and that they have children from Europe. She spoke about one client from Holland who had been attending for a couple of years. He was non-verbal, and apparently they made him talk through auditing. Apparently he's having auditing every day. It would cost $22,000 for a year's auditing. That's 150 hours. So this family have paid 2 years of auditing to this crazy cult. Now, like I said, the auditing is interrogation. That's what it is. So it's like, who are you talking to? What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? You can't feel. Remember, you're a Scientologist. You can't have any feelings. No, God, feelings are bad. So that's what they're doing to adults, now doing that to a child. They also encourage children to snitch on other family members. What's your mom doing? What's your dad doing? So it causes arguments within the family as well. Now, I've talked to ex-members, like I said, from Scientology, and they can tell me that this is really the case and that it's broken up so many families worldwide. So I'm just trying to comprehend, because I have autistic children. I also have Asperger's, and it is a communication condition and social as well. And the thought of being in a room, being interrogated by some crazy person really, really scares me. And I can't imagine how that would affect my children. It would cause, unmeasurable damage and cause long-term, damage, post-traumatic stress, whatever. So they're doing this to autistic children, even to children that don't speak. So, I mean, I don't know how they manage to do the auditing with nonverbal children, but they're doing it anyway, because they believe that autism is something that can be cured, okay? So let's get that straight. She was telling me, Marcy, the woman, that, they had such amazing, results from the auditing. But not only are these children being audited for that huge amount of money, $22,000 a year, they're being given these purification rundowns. The rundowns are huge doses of niacin, which is B3. A really potent vitamin, and you're not meant to give more than 5 milligrams to a child. They're giving 5,000 milligrams to children, okay, 5,000. So straight away, they have side effects. Flushing of the skin, the face goes red, itching of the skin, vomiting and nausea. Now we see this with MMS bleach. The Genesis 2 Church say, that's great, it's the autism leaving their bodies. The more sick these children are, the better. It's the same belief. And this is what is really going on. The children are being poisoned with these dangerous levels of these vitamins, and their body is reacting. But Marcy told me in the Scientology cult, oh no, that's just the radiation leaving their bodies, radiation in their bodies. So that's what I was told, even though the children are really sick. When I spoke to Ken a few days before, he talked about one of the clients being unconscious after having a rundown. Unconscious, okay? That's a good sign. He was just reliving an experience he had before when he went and had an operation and he was under anesthetic. That was the unconsciousness. It wasn't the fact that he'd taken all of these dangerous vitamins and he was actually, at death's door. Whilst they're doing the rundown, so children are not checked by doctors, they're not monitored, their blood pressure, their heart rate isn't checked. And because they're anti-doctors, they're anti anyone that's professional, basically. They want to bring all these children to quacks. And this is what's going on here. Anyway, I mean, this is child abuse. So let's be clear. I was so angry after talking to both of these people that I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe that there was actually children being given these horrendous, high doses of vitamins. The children have to also do really, rigorous exercise regimes, running on the treadmill. And they're going in and out of the sauna as well, which, saunas are not recommended for children under 16. If I go to a swimming pool, a hotel here in Ireland, they're not allowed in there, period. They're not allowed in a jacuzzi. So they're putting little children into saunas for really long periods of time because they believe they can sweat out this radiation and these toxins that are in their body and, cure their autism. Horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Absolutely, this is abuse, absolute abuse on a psychological and a physical level. Okay, there's two things going on here. They're damaging them psychologically and physically. Anyway, I reported this centre to Child Protection Services in Florida this week, and it took me 40 minutes to file a report over the phone, but I did it from Ireland, and if I can do it, others can do it as well. Now, people are very threatened and intimidated by Scientology. They think, well, we can't say anything because they come after us, they're going to sue us, they're going to sit outside our house and watch us. I don't care. And I think that's what we need to do. We have to stop giving into these threats and these websites where they're saying, oh, you've done this, you've been, said this about us. I've been ripped to shreds over the last 2 weeks by crazy Scientologists based in England. Gemma Harris, John Wood, complete maniacs. She told me I was abusing my child because I won't let them have the rundowns and poison them, and that I won't audit them, that that's abusive, that I need to give my children their spiritual freedom. What freedom has anyone got in Scientology? They can't do anything. They can't feel. They can't think for themselves. They can't cross the road without, telling them what they're doing. Is that freedom? I think it's more like a prison. But this is what is going on. And we don't want this crap in Ireland. We don't want something similar to Mace Kingsley. And I'm really, really worried that that could happen here. And I'm also told that the purification rundowns are happening in Ireland, in Dublin. So there are families doing this to their children as we speak. It has to stop. And I want politicians to listen to this video here in Ireland. I've already reached out to you. and I haven't had any response. So please, will you do something? We don't want this to develop here. And as for this place in Clearwater, I'm trying to get this exposed in the media. I have had a response today actually from somebody who's a journalist, and hopefully next week they'll have a story. But we need to highlight this on a grand scale so that we can get the authorities to take this seriously. And if you are in Clearwater or anywhere, just please report this centre to Child Protection. I can give you the number if you reach out. There's a hotline number. You know, they're doing this to children, they're doing this to babies, they're doing it to disabled children and autistic children, and it's child abuse. So please share this video, and if you want to report the centre, please contact me and I will give you the number. Scientology is a cult that abuses children, and I think we need to focus on the children more, because they are not signing up for this. They do not want this. No child wants to have their childhood taken away and be terrified and not being able to express themselves or feel or experience being a child. They're not allowed to do that. And this is what's going on here. And they're also being poisoned. They're not being taken to doctors. They're probably not being vaccinated, let's be honest, as well. So this is a reality. They're quacks in a cult. That's what Scientology is. It's not a religion. It's a pyramid scheme where they are forcing people to put all this money in, and they're making huge money. This property in Dublin was sold to them for €6 million. That's a lot of money. So who's giving the money to this? You know, who's funding this? And I think that actually it shouldn't have been allowed to be sold to Scientologists. I really do. I think it's a really awful thing to do. That centre could have helped children, autistic children, kids with special needs. It could have gone to do that. God knows we need more supports here in Ireland, but instead, no. We'll sell it to a cult who will abuse our children even further. These people are dangerous, they're criminals, and they're child abusers, and they must be stopped. Thanks for watching, guys. Please share this video, and if anyone has any questions, message me. Okay, thank you. Bye.